The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of the bridal suite at the Magnolia Hotel, casting a warm glow on Amara Johnson's white wedding dress. The intricate lace sparkled, each bead catching the light like a promise of joy. At 35, Amara, a Black American elementary school teacher, stood before the full-length mirror, her reflection a vision of hope and anticipation. Her dark curls were swept into an elegant updo, adorned with a delicate silver tiara her mother had worn at her wedding. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, when she would marry Derek Reynolds, the man she believed was her forever. But a quiet unease stirred in her chest, a whisper she couldn't quite name. "You look like a queen, baby," said Evelyn, Amara's mother, her voice thick with emotion as she dabbed her eyes with a tissue. "When he sees you walking down that aisle, Derek won't know what to do with himself." Like Amara's, Evelyn's warm brown eyes shone with pride, but her smile faltered slightly, sensing her daughter's tension. Amara forced a smile, smoothing the satin of her gown. "Thanks, Mama." Her voice was steady, but her stomach churned. Something felt off, like a melody played just out of tune. She had woken to a cryptic text from her best friend, Nia, sent at 2 a.m. "We need to talk. Urgent. Call me when you're alone." Always punctual and vibrant, Nia hadn't shown up for the morning preparations, which wasn't like her. The absence gnawed at Amara, a splinter in her excitement. "Mama, can you give me a minute?" "I need to make a call," Amara said, reaching for her phone on the vanity. Her manicured fingers trembled slightly, betraying her calm facade. Evelyn frowned but nodded. "Of course, sweetheart. I'll check on the florist." She squeezed Amara's shoulder before leaving the suite. Quiet, except for the soft rustle of tulle. Amara dialed Nia's number, her heart pounding. The phone rang twice before Nia answered, her voice tight with emotion. "Amara, thank God you called. I've been up all night trying to figure out how to tell you this." "Tell me what, Nia?" "You're scaring me." Amara gripped the phone, her other hand clutching the edge of the vanity for support. A long pause stretched across the line, heavy with dread. "I saw Derek last night at the Sapphire Lounge. He was with Tiana, his new assistant. They weren't just talking, Amara. They were together, kissing and holding each other like they didn't care who saw them." The words hit Amara like a physical blow, stealing her breath. Tiana, the young woman Derek had hired 3 months ago, whom he'd described as just a kid needing guidance. Amara's mind reeled, the room tilting. "You're sure?" she whispered. "I took pictures," Nia said softly. "I knew you wouldn't believe me otherwise. I'm sending them now." Seconds later, Amara's phone buzzed. She opened the images, her hands shaking. The photos were unmistakable. Derek and Tiana in a dimly lit booth, their faces close, his hand on her waist, her lips on his. The timestamp read 11:52 p.m., when Amara had been at home, sipping chamomile tea to calm her pre-wedding nerves. Her fiancé had been across town, betraying her. "There's more," Nia continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I asked around. This has been going on for months. People at his law firm know Amara. Tiana's been bragging to the other assistants." Amara sank onto a velvet chair, careful not to crush the dress she'd spent months choosing, which had cost her 3 months' salary. She'd imagined Derek's face lighting up when he saw her in it, his eyes full of love. Now, that image shattered like glass. "Does everyone know?" she asked, her voice small. "Not the guests," Nia replied, "but his office. Yeah, a lot of them do. I'm so sorry." The door opened, and Evelyn poked her head in. "Sweetheart, the photographer's ready for the pre-ceremony shots. You okay?" Her eyes narrowed, catching the strain in Amara's expression. Amara's voice cracked. "Mama, come in. Close the door." Evelyn stepped inside, her face shifting from concern to alarm as she saw her daughter's ashen complexion. "What's wrong, baby?" "The wedding's off," Amara said, the words steady despite the storm inside her. "Derek's been cheating with Tiana. Nia has proof." Evelyn's face cycled through shock, grief, and fury in seconds. "That no good?" She stopped, taking a deep breath, and sat beside Amara, her hand warm on her daughter's. "What do you need me to do? Tell everyone to go home, make up an excuse, anything. I can't face them yet." Amara's eyes burned, but no tears fell. "Not yet. But first, I need to see Derek." Evelyn hesitated. "You sure, baby? You don't owe him anything." "I know," Amara said, standing, her dress rustling like a battle flag. "But I want him to see what he's losing." 20 minutes later, Amara marched through the hotel lobby, her gown trailing like a warrior's cape. Guests stared, but she ignored them, her focus razor-sharp. Evelyn had tried to convince her to change, but Amara refused. She wanted Derek to see her as the bride he'd betrayed, to feel the weight of his deceit. She threw open the door without knocking, using the keycard for the groom's suite. Derek stood before a mirror, adjusting his bow tie, his groomsmen laughing over champagne. He turned, his handsome face breaking into a smile that died when he saw her expression. "Amara, what's wrong? It's bad luck to—" "Bad luck?" Amara's laugh was sharp, cutting through his words. "No, Derek. Bad luck is what you're about to have." The groomsmen, sensing the tension, froze and began edging toward the door. "It's not what you think," Derek started, his voice smooth, practiced. But Amara held up her phone, the damning photos glowing on the screen. "Nia saw you last night with Tiana. Half your office knows. You've been lying to me for months while I planned our wedding like a fool." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled with rage. "Amara, please," Derek said, stepping forward. "Tiana means nothing. We can work this out." "No," she said, stepping back. "We're done. I'm going to that ballroom and telling everyone why this wedding isn't happening. Then I'm walking away. Something I should have done the first time you lied about working late." Derek's face paled. "Think about how this'll look," he pleaded. "My mother's out there. She'll—" "Your mother?" Amara's eyes flashed. "I already called her. She's waiting to hear about her perfect son's behavior." The mention of his mother, a formidable woman who'd pushed Derek into law school and curated his social image, made him flinch. "Please," he whispered. "I'll do anything." "You already did," Amara said, turning away. "You destroyed us." She strode out, head high, Evelyn at her side. The ballroom was a sea of expectant faces, friends, family, colleagues, all waiting for a ceremony that would never happen. Amara took the microphone from the band leader, her hands steady now. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice clear and strong. "There won't be a wedding today. I've just learned Derek has been having an affair with his assistant for months. Thank you all for coming, but please enjoy the reception meal as my parting gift. I have somewhere else to be." Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by murmurs, but Amara didn't wait. She returned the microphone and walked out, her dress billowing behind her. In the lobby, she pressed the elevator button. Derek's voice called her name, but as the doors closed, she saw his face, panicked, regretful, and felt nothing but resolve. Outside, the spring air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming magnolias. Amara took a deep breath, then another, her dress brushing the pavement as she walked. She didn't know where she was going. She only needed to move, to leave behind the hotel and the dreams it held. Her feet carried her to Lincoln Park, where couples strolled and children laughed, their normalcy contrasting with her unraveling world. As she stood there, a black woman in a wedding dress, alone but unbroken, she heard a desperate voice calling a name, "Caleb, Caleb," and her life took an unexpected turn. The spring air in Lincoln Park was alive with the hum of normalcy, children shrieking with laughter on the swings, couples strolling hand in hand along winding paths, and older men hunched over chessboards at concrete tables. Amara stood near a blooming cherry tree, her wedding dress a stark contrast to the casual vibrancy around her. The satin hem was smudged with dirt from her walk, and the weight of her betrayal pressed heavily on her chest. Yet the park's energy offered a fleeting distraction. She closed her eyes, letting the breeze cool her tear-streaked face, when a desperate voice shattered the calm. "Caleb! Caleb! Where are you?" The cry was raw, edged with panic, cutting through the park's cheerful din. Amara's eyes snapped open, scanning the scene. A man in a disheveled suit ran past a nearby fountain, his dark hair mussed, his tie loosened, as if yanked in distress. His face was a mask of fear, eyes wild as he called his son's name again. Amara moved toward him without thinking, her teacher's instincts overriding her turmoil. Her dress rustled awkwardly, but she didn't care. "Are you looking for someone?" she called, her voice steady, despite the morning's chaos. The man turned, his gaze locking onto her. He barely registered her bridal attire, too consumed by worry. Up close, she saw the lines of exhaustion etched into his face, his expensive suit wrinkled and dusted with park dirt. "My son," he said, his voice cracking. "Caleb. He's 7, wearing the blue t-shirt and jeans. I looked away for a minute, took a business call, and he was gone." His hands ran through his hair, a gesture of helpless frustration. Amara said, "I'll help you look," gathering the train of her dress to move more freely. "I'm Amara. What's his name again?" "Caleb," he replied, his eyes softening with gratitude. "I'm Nathan Caldwell." "Thank you." His words were clipped, urgency pulling him back to the search, but his glance lingered on her, as if puzzled by her presence in a wedding gown. "Let's check the playground first," Amara suggested, her experience with children guiding her. Kids get drawn to swings or slides when they're upset. She led the way, her heels sinking slightly into the grass, calling Caleb's name alongside Nathan. Other park-goers took notice, and a few parents joined the search, their voices weaving into a chorus of concern. Amara scanned the colorful chaos as they neared the playground, children climbing, sliding, laughing. Nathan's calls grew more frantic, his hands clenched into fists. "Does Caleb have a favorite spot here?" she asked, hoping to narrow their focus. Nathan's face fell, guilt shadowing his features. "I don't know. I don't bring him here often. My assistant usually does while I'm at work." His voice was low, laced with self-reproach, and Amara's heart ached for him. She recognized that tone, the weight of failing someone you love. "It's okay," she said gently. "We'll find him." Her words were as much for herself as for Nathan, a reminder that she could still help, still matter, even after her world had crumbled. They searched for 10 minutes, checking slides, benches, and the edge of a small pond. Nathan was about to call the police, his phone trembling, when Amara spotted a small figure on a bench near an ice cream cart, half hidden by blooming azaleas. A boy in a blue t-shirt sat hunched, his dark hair like Nathan's, his sneakers scuffing the dirt. "Is that him?" she asked, pointing. Nathan's face lit up with relief. "Caleb!" He sprinted toward the bench, Amara following more slowly, her dress catching on a stray branch. The boy looked up as his father approached, his eyes softer than Nathan's, but brimming with hurt. "Dad," he said, his voice small. "Caleb, Thank God. Nathan dropped to his knees, pulling his son into a tight hug. Why did you run off? I was so worried. Caleb's lower lip trembled. You promised we'd have the whole afternoon together, but you took another call. You always do. Tears spilled down his cheeks, and he buried his face in Nathan's shoulder. You never have time for me. Nathan looked helpless, holding his son, but unsure how to respond. Amara stepped forward, her teacher's calm taking over. Hi, Caleb. I'm Amara. Your dad ran all over this park looking for you. He was terrified. Her voice was warm, steady, the same tone she used to soothe her third graders during a tough day. Caleb peeked at her, his tears slowing. Why are you wearing a wedding dress? His curiosity cut through his sadness, and Amara couldn't help but smile. It's a long story, she said, kneeling despite the dress's bulk. But right now, I think you and your dad need to talk. Sometimes grown-ups mess up, but it doesn't mean they don't love you. Nathan shot her a grateful look. She's right, buddy. I'm sorry about the call. You're more important than work. His voice was earnest, but Caleb's expression remained skeptical. You always say that, the boy mumbled, wiping his eyes. But you don't mean it. Nathan flinched, sitting on the bench beside Caleb, still holding him close. I know I've broken promises, but I want to do better. How about we get ice cream and talk? No phones, I swear. He pulled out his phone, switched it off, and tucked it away, which widened Caleb's eyes slightly. Really? Caleb asked, a spark of hope in his voice. No more calls? Nathan said, loosening his tie completely and tossing it onto the bench. Just us today. He paused, glancing at Amara, whose tear-streaked face and dirt-smudged gown told a story he hadn't yet asked about. Can Miss Amara join us? She helped find you. Caleb looked at her, his gaze lingering on her dress. You look sad, he said bluntly, with the unfiltered honesty of a child. Ice cream makes everything better. Dad says so. Amara's lips trembled, but she managed to laugh. The morning's pain flooded back. Derek's betrayal, the canceled wedding. But helping Caleb had dulled the ache, if only a little. I could use some ice cream, she admitted. Please join us, Nathan said softly, his blue eyes meeting hers. It's the least we can do to thank you. Amara hesitated, glancing at her ruined gown. I should change. This dress isn't exactly park-friendly. There's a boutique across the street, Nathan offered. I'll cover whatever you need. You shouldn't be running around in that after helping us. Caleb tugged her hand, his small fingers warm. You look like a princess, but princesses can't eat ice cream in big dresses. It'll get messy. Amara laughed again, the sound lighter this time. You're right, Caleb. Ice cream calls for something practical. An hour later, Amara sat at a park table in a simple sundress and sandals, her wedding gown safely in a garment bag. She held a cone of chocolate ice cream, watching Caleb devour his strawberry scoop while Nathan sipped coffee, his suit jacket discarded. The normalcy of the moment felt surreal after the morning's chaos, yet it grounded her. As Caleb chased a butterfly nearby, Nathan leaned closer, his voice low. I didn't ask earlier, but why were you in a wedding dress, wandering a park? Amara's fingers tightened around her cone. I was supposed to get married today. Found out this morning that my fiancé was cheating. I called it off and ended up here. Her voice was steady, but the words carried the weight of her shattered dreams. Nathan's eyes softened. That took guts. I'm sorry you went through that. She shrugged, forcing a small smile, and helping find Caleb made it a little easier. Then we're even, he said, his tone warm. You saved my day too. As Caleb ran back, waving a dandelion, Amara felt a flicker of hope. Her heart was still bruised, But this unexpected moment, a lost boy, a grateful father, a shared ice cream, hinted at something new. With its blooming trees and laughing children, Lincoln Park had become more than an escape. It was the start of a story she hadn't expected to write. The park's ice cream cart was a cheerful oasis of pastel colors, its umbrella casting dappled shade over the table where Amara sat with Nathan and Caleb. Her new sundress, a soft blue cotton bought from the boutique across the street, felt lighter than the wedding gown now tucked away in a garment bag. Caleb licked his strawberry cone enthusiastically, his earlier tears replaced by a tentative smile as he recounted a story about a squirrel stealing his pretzel last summer. Nathan listened, his expression softening, but his eyes carried a weight that hadn't lifted since finding his son. Amara sipped her water, sensing the unspoken history behind Nathan's guilt. As Caleb darted off to chase another butterfly, Nathan leaned back, his coffee cup cradled in his hands. He said, "You're good with him," his voice low, almost surprised. Most people would have walked away, especially after whatever brought you here. His gaze flicked to the garment bag, a silent question. Amara's fingers tightened around her cup, but she met his eyes. Kids have a way of pulling you out of your mess. I'm a teacher. It's my job to notice when someone needs help. Her tone was light, but her heart still ached from Derek's betrayal, a wound too fresh to ignore. Nathan nodded, his jaw tight. Caleb's been needing help, but I haven't given it to him. I owe you for today, Amara. More than just a sundress. He hesitated, then added, You don't have to answer, but what happened? With the wedding dress? She took a deep breath, the park's breeze carrying the scent of blooming lilacs. My fiancé cheated on me. I found out this morning, called off the wedding, and ended up here. That's the short version. Her voice was steady, but the words felt like stones dropping into still water. Nathan's eyes darkened with empathy. That's a hell of a morning. I'm sorry. Don't be, she said, forcing a small smile. I'm figuring out what's next. Helping Caleb felt like a start. She glanced at the boy, now tossing dandelion fluff, and her heart warmed. What about you? You said you don't bring him here often. Why not? Nathan's shoulders sagged, and for a moment, he looked less like the polished businessman in his tailored suit and more like a man carrying a heavy load. It isn't very easy. Caleb's mom, Olivia, and I, we messed things up. Badly. He paused, staring at his coffee as if it held answers. Mind if I tell you? It might help you understand why Caleb ran off. Amara nodded, sensing the weight of his story. I'm listening. Nathan's gaze drifted to the horizon, where the park's trees swayed gently. Olivia and I met in college, and we were hungry for success. I was building my real estate firm, and she was climbing the ladder in corporate law. We were young, ambitious, and thought we could have everything: marriage, careers, the perfect life. He gave a bitter laugh. We were wrong. A memory flickered in his mind, vivid as the park's sunlight. Their first apartment, a cramped loft filled with takeout containers and late-night strategy sessions. Olivia, her hair pulled back, drafted legal briefs while he sketched building plans on napkins. They'd laughed then, dreaming of a future where their names would mean something. But the laughter faded as their careers consumed them. When Caleb came along, we weren't ready, Nathan continued. I buried myself in deals, thinking money would fix everything. Olivia threw herself into her firm, networking at galas, and building her reputation. Caleb was collateral damage. Amara's chest tightened, picturing a younger Caleb, caught between parents who were too busy to notice him. That must have been hard on him, she said softly. It was, Nathan admitted, his voice rough. When we divorced 3 years ago, Caleb was 4, and we'd already let him down. Olivia got primary custody, but she used it to control things, schedules, visits, even what I could say to him. I let her, because I felt guilty. Still do. He looked at Caleb, who was now kneeling to inspect a ladybug. Today wasn't the first time he's run off. He's trying to tell me something, and I keep failing to listen. Amara leaned forward, her teacher's instincts kicking in. He's telling you he needs you, not your assistant or phone calls. Kids don't run away for no reason. They're looking for something they're not getting. Nathan's eyes met hers, a mix of gratitude and shame. You're right. I want to be better for him. But it's hard to break old habits. Then start small, Amara said, her voice gentle but firm. Like today, with the ice cream. No phone, just you and him. Build from there. Caleb ran back, clutching a dandelion. Miss Amara, make a wish, he said, thrusting the fluff toward her. She laughed, blowing gently, and the seeds scattered like tiny promises. Caleb grinned, then turned to Nathan. Can Miss Amara come to the park with us next time? She's fun. Nathan hesitated, glancing at Amara. If she wants to, she's already done a lot for us today. Amara's heart lifted, the morning's pain easing in the face of Caleb's earnestness. I'd like that, she said. I can help with your math homework too. I teach 3rd grade, so I know a few tricks. Caleb's eyes widened. You're a teacher? Cool. I hate math, but you could make it fun. He paused, looking at her sundress. You're no longer wearing the princess dress, but you're still lovely. She chuckled, warmth spreading through her. Thanks, Caleb. You're pretty nice yourself. Nathan watched them, a faint smile breaking through his worry. You've got a gift, Amara. Caleb doesn't open up like this with just anyone. He stood, brushing grass from his pants. We should head home, buddy. It's getting late. Let's see Miss Amara again soon. Caleb nodded eagerly, grabbing Nathan's hand. Can we get pizza next time? With extra cheese? Deal, Nathan said, ruffling his son's hair. He turned to Amara. I mean it. Thank you. If you're ever up for pizza, or just talking, here's my number. He handed her a business card, his name embossed in gold. Nathan Caldwell, Caldwell Enterprises. No pressure, of course. Amara took the card, her fingers brushing his. I'll think about it, she said, her smile genuine for the first time that day. As Nathan and Caleb walked toward the park's exit, Caleb waved back at her, and Amara felt a shift inside her. The pain of Derek's betrayal still lingered, but helping Caleb, seeing Nathan's raw vulnerability, had planted a seed of hope. She didn't know where this path would lead, but she felt ready to find out for the first time in hours. As she stood to leave, her phone buzzed. A text from Nia. You okay? Need me to get you? Amara typed a quick reply. I'm okay. Found something worth sticking around for. She slipped the phone into her pocket, Nathan's card tucked beside it, and headed out of the park. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows, but the world felt a little brighter than it had that morning. The late afternoon light streamed into Amara's 3rd grade classroom at Lincoln Elementary, painting the walls with a warm glow. Colorful posters of math facts and student drawings lined the room, a testament to Amara's knack for making learning vibrant. She stood at the front, guiding her students through a fraction game, using paper pizza slices to teach halves and quarters. The children's laughter filled the air as they shared their pizzas, their faces bright with discovery. Okay, who can split this pizza into thirds? Amara asked, holding up a paper circle. Hands shot up, and she called on Jamal, a shy boy whose grin widened as he nailed the answer. Great job, Jamal, Amara said, her smile genuine, despite the lingering ache from Derek's betrayal a month ago. Teaching was her anchor, where she could pour her heart into something steady. But lately, her thoughts drifted to Friday pizza nights with Nathan and Caleb. moments that felt like a new kind of home. Their latest outing, at a cozy diner with checkered tablecloths, had ended with Caleb mastering a fraction worksheet, using pizza slices as props, his pride mirroring her students today. As the bell rang and her students filed out, Amara tidied her desk, her mind on Caleb's latest math triumph. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Caleb's asking for another pizza night. 6 p.m. at our place? She smiled, typing back. Wouldn't miss it, bringing my fraction game. The routine had become a lifeline, weaving her into Nathan and Caleb's world, though Olivia's shadow loomed after Nathan's revelations about their past. At Nathan's house, the kitchen smelled of warm dough and marinara, and the table was set for 3. Caleb bounced in his seat, wearing a chef's hat too big for his head, stirring a pot of sauce with exaggerated care. "Miss Amara, I added extra garlic, like you said," he called, his eyes sparkling. "Smells perfect," Amara said, slipping off her jacket and joining him at the stove. Nathan watched from the counter, a glass of water in hand. His tie loosened after a long day. His smile was softer now, less burdened than when they'd met in the park, and Amara felt a warmth she hadn't expected, a quiet pull between them. "Careful, chef," Nathan teased Caleb, ruffling his hair. "Don't drown the sauce." Caleb giggled, and Amara caught Nathan's eye, a shared moment of ease that felt dangerously close to something more. The doorbell rang, shattering the warmth. Nathan frowned, wiping his hands on a towel. "I'll get it," he returned moments later with Olivia, her tailored coat and sharp gaze cutting through the cozy scene. Caleb froze, his spoon hovering over the pot. "Olivia," Nathan said, his voice tight. "We weren't expecting you until tomorrow." Olivia's smile was thin, her eyes flicking to Amara. "Plans change. I wanted to see Caleb." She stepped closer, her heels clicking on the hardwood. "And I hear you've been playing house, Amara. Quite the cozy setup." Amara's jaw tightened, but she kept her tone even. "I'm here as a friend, Olivia, helping Caleb with his math and spending time with them. That's all." Her heart pounded, recalling Nathan's story of Olivia's controlling nature, but she stood her ground, her teacher's calm steadying her. "Friend?" Olivia's laugh was sharp. "Please. I know your type, latching onto a wealthy man and his vulnerable son. Caleb's been through enough without you stirring things up." Caleb set down his spoon, his voice small but firm. "Miss Amara's not stirring anything. She helps me with fractions, and she makes Dad smile. She makes us feel like a family." His eyes darted between his parents, a plea for peace. Nathan stepped forward, his hand on Caleb's shoulder. "Olivia, that's enough. Amara's been nothing but good for Caleb. For us. You don't get to come in here and throw accusations." Olivia's gaze softened on Caleb, but her posture remained rigid. "I'm protecting my son, Nathan. Something you've struggled with." She turned to Amara. "Word gets around, you know. People talk about the jilted bride cozying up to a tycoon. Be careful what you're starting." Amara's hands clenched, but she met Olivia's eyes. "I'm not starting anything but a math game with Caleb. If you're worried about him, talk to him. He's right here." Her voice was steady, drawing on the strength she used to manage a classroom of restless kids. Caleb tugged Olivia's sleeve. "Mom, don't be mad. Miss Amara's nice. She stays when Dad's not on his phone." His words were simple but piercing, and Olivia's expression faltered, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. "I'm not mad, darling," Olivia said, kneeling to hug him. "I want what's best for you." She stood, her eyes still wary but less hostile. "I'll pick you up tomorrow, as planned. We'll talk then, Nathan." She left, the door clicking shut, leaving a heavy silence. Nathan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry, Amara. She's complicated." "I get it. Amara said, stirring the sauce to keep her hands busy. She's scared of losing Caleb, but he needs us to work together, not fight. She glanced at Caleb, who was watching them with wide eyes. Right, chef? Let's finish this masterpiece. Caleb grinned, the tension easing. Extra cheese, too. As they returned to cooking, Nathan's hand brushed Amara's, a quiet thank you. The evening resumed, filled with laughter and the clink of plates, but Amara felt a shift. This wasn't just pizza night. It was the start of something more profound, a family taking root. Yet, as she later helped Caleb with his homework, a nagging worry lingered. Olivia's words hinted at a storm brewing that could test the fragile bonds they were building. The late afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of Amara's third-grade classroom at Lincoln Elementary, casting golden patterns on the colorful bulletin boards adorned with student artwork. Amara sat at her desk, grading math worksheets, her mind only half on the task. The past month had been a whirlwind. Friday pizza nights with Nathan and Caleb, tutoring sessions that turned fractions into games with toy cars and pizza slices, and moments of laughter that dulled the ache of Derek's betrayal. Yet, Olivia's sharp words from last week's visit lingered, a reminder of the fragile balance they were building. Amara sighed, pushing a curl behind her ear, when a soft knock at the door startled her. Caleb stood in the doorway, his blue t-shirt slightly rumpled, his backpack slung over one shoulder. His dark eyes, so like Nathan's, held a mix of hesitation and determination. Miss Amara, can I talk to you? His voice was small, but his presence filled the room with urgency. Of course, Caleb, Amara said, setting aside her pen. What's up? Shouldn't you be at soccer practice? She gestured to the chair beside her desk, her teacher's instinct sensing something more profound than a casual visit. Caleb shuffled in, dropping his backpack with a thud. He sat, his sneakers scuffing the linoleum, and stared at his hands. I didn't go to practice. I told Coach I was sick. I needed to see you. His words were careful, as if testing the ground before stepping forward. Amara's heart tightened. Does your dad know you're here? She reached for her phone, ready to text Nathan, but Caleb's quick shake of his head stopped her. Not yet. Please don't tell him. Not until we talk. His eyes met hers, pleading, and she saw his weight, too heavy for a 7-year-old. She nodded, setting the phone down. Okay, Caleb. Just you and me. What's on your mind? Her voice was warm, the same tone she used when a student struggled with a problem, whether math or something more personal. Caleb fidgeted, twisting a loose thread on his shirt. It's about Mom and Dad. They're always fighting, even when they don't yell. Mom says stuff about you, like you're trying to take Dad away, but I don't think that's true. He paused, his lip trembling. I'm scared they'll keep fighting forever, and I'll be stuck in the middle, like always. Amara leaned forward, her hands clasped to avoid reaching out too soon. That sounds heavy, Caleb. It's okay to feel scared. Want to tell me more? He nodded, his words tumbling out. I thought it'd get better when they divorced, but it didn't. Mom's always mad when Dad picks me up late, and Dad's always on his phone, even when he promises he won't be. I run away sometimes because I want them to notice me. His voice cracked, and tears welled in his eyes. But when you're around, it's different. You listen. You make Dad laugh, and he doesn't check his phone as much. You make us feel like a real family. Amara's throat tightened, her emotions swirling. Gratitude for Caleb's trust, sorrow for his pain. Caleb, you're not stuck in the middle. You're the most essential part of this, and your parents love you, even if they mess up sometimes. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I'm glad I make things feel better. You make me feel better too, you know. After my wedding didn't happen, I was pretty sad. But helping you, being with you, and your dad, it's like finding a new kind of happy." Caleb's eyes widened. "Really? You were sad too?" He leaned closer, as if sharing a secret. "I thought you were always strong, like a superhero." Amara chuckled, her heart warming. "Not always. But kids like you make me stronger. You're pretty super yourself." She reached out, offering a fist bump, which Caleb returned with a shy smile. "What if Mom keeps being mad?" he asked, his voice small again. "What if she makes you go away?" "I'm not going anywhere," Amara said firmly. "Your mom's just figuring things out, like we all are. But I promise, I'll keep being here for you, okay? We'll work on those fractions and tackle some of those worries together." Caleb nodded, his shoulders relaxing. "Can we do the pizza fraction game again? It makes math less boring." "Deal," Amara said, grinning. "But we need to tell your dad you're here. He'll be worried sick." She picked up her phone and texted Nathan. "Caleb's with me at school. He's okay. He just needed to talk. Come when you can." Minutes later, her phone buzzed with Nathan's reply. "On my way. Thank you." Amara set the phone down, turning back to Caleb. "Want to show me that drawing you were working on last week? The one with the rocket ship?" Caleb's face lit up, and he dug into his backpack, pulling out a crumpled sketch of a rocket soaring past stars. Amara listened as he explained the engines and the alien crew, her heart swelling. With his earnest words and quiet fears, this boy had carved a space she hadn't expected in her life. When Nathan arrived, his suit jacket was off, his tie loose, his face etched with worry. He paused in the doorway, taking in the sight of Caleb chattering animatedly about his drawing. "Caleb, buddy, you scared me," he said, crossing the room to kneel beside his son. "You can't skip practice like that." "I'm sorry, Dad," Caleb said, glancing at Amara. "I had to talk to Miss Amara. She gets it." Nathan's eyes met Amara's, gratitude softening his features. "I'm glad you did. But next time, tell me first, okay?" Caleb nodded, and Nathan turned to Amara. "Thank you. Again, you're becoming our unofficial hero." Amara smiled, brushing off the praise and just doing my job. "Caleb's got a lot on his mind. You two can talk more tonight." She hesitated, then added, "I've got a parent-teacher conference, but how about pizza tomorrow? I owe Caleb a fraction game." "Pizza sounds perfect," Nathan said, his voice warm. "Right, buddy?" "Yeah," Caleb said, his earlier worry replaced by excitement. "Extra cheese?" "Always," Amara replied, ruffling his hair. The classroom felt quieter as Nathan and Caleb left, but Amara's heart was fuller. Caleb's words echoed in her mind. "You make us feel like a real family." And for the first time since her canceled wedding, she believed she could build something new. But as she packed up her grading, her phone buzzed with a message from Naya. "Check the news. Someone's spreading lies about you." A chill ran through her, a hint of the storm to come. The morning bustle at Lincoln Elementary was a familiar chaos. Parents dropping off children, teachers herding students toward classrooms, and the hum of school buses idling in the parking lot. Amara stood at the school's entrance, her blazer crisp over a floral blouse, greeting her third graders with a smile that masked the unease simmering inside her. Nia's text from the previous evening. "Check the news. Someone spreading lies about you had kept her up half the night." She'd scrolled through a local news site on her phone, her heart sinking as she read the headline. "Jilted bride, targets real estate tycoon. Teacher's scandal rocks community." The article, riddled with anonymous quotes, painted her as a manipulative gold digger who'd orchestrated her wedding's dramatic cancellation to gain sympathy and snag Nathan Caldwell, a wealthy businessman. Amara's fingers tightened around the stack of math quizzes she held as she ushered her students inside. The article claimed she'd secretly pursued Nathan before her wedding to Derek, using Caleb as a pawn to infiltrate their family. Grainy photos accompanied the story. Snaps of her, Nathan, and Caleb at the park, eating pizza at their favorite diner, outside her apartment. The invasion of her privacy felt like a second betrayal, sharper than Derek's infidelity. As she reached her classroom, she noticed parents lingering in the hallway, their whispers cutting through the morning chatter. Some avoided her gaze. Others stared openly, their expressions a mix of curiosity and judgment. "Miss Johnson, can we do the fraction game today?" One of her students, Mia, asked, tugging at Amara's sleeve. Her bright smile was a small anchor, pulling Amara back to the present. "Sure, Mia," Amara replied, forcing warmth into her voice. "Let's make math fun." But as she set up her lesson, the principal, Mrs. Wallace, appeared in the doorway, her face stern but not unkind. "Amara, a word in my office, please," Mrs. Wallace said, her tone leaving no room for delay. Amara nodded, her stomach twisting as she followed the older woman down the hall. The whispers followed too, a low hum that felt like a physical weight. In the principal's office, Mrs. Wallace gestured to a chair. "I assume you've seen the article," she began, sliding a tablet across her desk. The screen displayed the same headline, its words glaring. "Parents are concerned, Amara. They're questioning whether someone caught in this kind of public drama should be teaching their children." Amara's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "It's all lies, Mrs. Wallace. I didn't orchestrate anything. I met Nathan and Caleb by chance after my wedding fell apart. I'm not after anyone's money." She leaned forward, her hands clasped. "You know my record. My students' test scores are among the highest in the district. I've stayed late to help kids like Mia with reading and organize the math club. This article doesn't change who I am." Mrs. Wallace's expression softened, but her voice remained firm. "I believe you, Amara. You're one of our best. But perception matters. 3 parents have already called, asking to transfer their kids out of your class. The school board is taking notice and is worried about the school's reputation." She paused, her eyes kind but resolute. "I'm not saying it's fair, but you must keep your personal life private for now. The board's meeting is soon to discuss this." Amara's chest tightened, anger and fear warring within her. "What are you saying? Is my job at risk because of gossip?" "Not yet," Mrs. Wallace said carefully. "But be cautious. Stay out of the spotlight if you can." She handed Amara a printed copy of the article, as if its physical weight could underscore the gravity of the situation. Back in her classroom, Amara tried to focus on her lesson, guiding her students through a fraction game with paper pizza slices. Their laughter usually lifted her spirits, but today it felt distant, drowned out by the article's accusations. During lunch, Nia slipped into the classroom, her face grim as she waved her phone. "This is Olivia's doing, I bet," she said, sitting across from Amara. "She's got the money and connections to plant a story like this. And Derek's probably helping her. He's quoted as an anonymous source saying you planned the whole wedding fiasco." Amara's fork paused over her salad. "Olivia was at Nathan's last week, accusing me of using Caleb. And Derek, he'd do anything to save face after I exposed him." She pushed her plate away, appetite gone. "This could ruin everything, Nia. My job, my reputation, what I'm building with Caleb and Nathan." Nia reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "You're tougher than this, Amara. We'll figure it out. I'm digging into who leaked those photos. Someone's been following you." Her eyes flashed with determination, the same fire she'd shown when she sent Amara those damning photos of Derek. Amara stayed late as the school day ended, helping a shy student, Jamal, with his multiplication tables. His small victories, grinning when he solved 7 by 8, reminded her why she loved teaching. But the whispers didn't stop. A parent picking up their child avoided her gaze, and another teacher's sympathetic smile felt like pity. By the time Amara left the school, the sky was bruising into dusk, and her phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Saw the article. I'm so sorry. Can I come over? She typed a quick reply. Please, I need to talk. As she drove home, the city lights blurred through her windshield, and Amara felt the day's weight pressing down. Her classroom, her sanctuary, was now a battleground. The article wasn't just gossip. It was a calculated attack, likely from Olivia, possibly with Derek's help, to tear her apart. But as she thought of Caleb's earnest words yesterday, "You make us feel like a real family," and Nathan's quiet gratitude, a spark of resolve flickered within her. She'd faced betrayal before and walked away stronger. This storm was bigger, but she wasn't alone anymore. Pulling into her apartment complex, Amara noticed a news van parked across the street, its camera trained on her building. Her heart sank, but she straightened her shoulders, gripping her keys like a lifeline. Whatever was coming, she'd face it head on. For herself, for Caleb, for the family they were starting to build. But as she stepped out of her car, a figure emerged from the shadows. Tiana, Derek's former assistant, her face pale with guilt. Amara, she said, her voice trembling. I need to tell you something about Derek. The streetlights outside Amara's apartment cast a faint glow through the window, their light catching the edge of her coffee table, where a crumpled copy of the scandalous news article lay. Amara stood frozen in her doorway, keys still in hand, staring at Tiana, whose nervous posture contrasted sharply with the confident assistant she'd seen hovering around Derek months ago. Tiana's eyes, red-rimmed and anxious, darted to the news van across the street before settling on Amara. I know I'm the last person you want to see, Tiana said, her voice trembling. But I need to tell you something about Derek. It's important. Amara's grip on her keys tightened, the metal biting into her palm. The article's lies, claiming she'd manipulated her way into Nathan's life, still stung, and Tiana's role in Derek's betrayal was a raw wound. Yet something in Tiana's expression, a mix of guilt and resolve, gave Amara pause. She said, You've got 5 minutes, stepping aside to let Tiana in. But if this is some game, I'm not playing. Tiana nodded, clutching a small USB drive as she entered. The apartment was modest, its walls lined with books and student drawings, starkly contrasting the sleek office where Tiana had once worked for Derek. Amara gestured to the couch, her face guarded. Talk. Tiana sat, her hands wringing the USB drive. I owe you an apology, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. What happened with Derek? I was stupid. He made me feel special, like I was more than just his assistant. I didn't know about you at first, but I didn't stop it when I found out. Her eyes dropped to the floor, and a memory flashed through her mind. Late nights at the law firm, Derek's charming smile, promises of a promotion, and the moment she overheard him laughing about Amara's trust. The shame had settled in then, heavy and unshakable. Amara crossed her arms, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. Why are you here, Tiana? To clear your conscience? Because that article out there is tearing my life apart, and you were part of what started this. Tiana flinched, but met Amara's gaze. I know. That's why I'm here. Derek's not just a cheater. He's a criminal. He's been embezzling from client accounts at the firm for over a year, funneling money into offshore accounts. I found proof. She held up the USB drive, her hand trembling. Emails, bank records, fake invoices. I was scared to come forward before. He threatened to ruin me if I talked. But after seeing what he's doing to you, I couldn't stay quiet after that article. Amara's breath caught, her mind racing. The article had mentioned Derek as an anonymous source, accusing her of orchestrating the collapse of her wedding. If Tiana was telling the truth, this could shift everything. "Why should I trust you?" Amara asked, her tone sharp but curious. "You were with him while I was planning our wedding." Tiana's eyes welled with tears. "You shouldn't. I was part of his lies, and I hate myself for it. But I'm trying to make it right. I overheard him yesterday, on the phone, talking about making you and Nathan pay for humiliating him. He's working with someone, probably Olivia, to keep this scandal going." She pushed the USB drive across the coffee table. "This can stop him. It's everything I found. Enough to send him to prison." Amara stared at the drive, her resolve wavering. Part of her wanted to throw Tiana out, to reject anything tied to Derek's world. But facing a ballroom full of guests and walking away, another part saw an opportunity. "How did you get this?" she asked, picking up the drive. "I was his assistant," Tiana said, a bitter edge to her voice. "I had access to his files and his emails. He wasn't as careful as he thought. Last week, I started copying things when I heard him bragging about teaching you a lesson. I couldn't let him keep hurting people." Her voice broke, and she wiped her eyes. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, Amara. Just take the evidence. Use it." Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed with a call from Nathan. She answered, her eyes still on Tiana. "Nathan, I'm okay, but Tiana's here. She's got evidence against Derek. Serious stuff." "I'm coming over," Nathan said, his voice tight and worried. "I just saw the news van outside your place." "Stay put." Amara hung up, turning back to Tiana. "If this is real, I'll use it. But if you're playing me, Tiana, I'll make sure you regret it." Her words were firm, but her heart softened slightly at Tiana's visible remorse. "I'm not," Tiana said, standing. "I'll go. Just be careful. Derek's desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things." She hesitated at the door, glancing back. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this." As Tiana left, Amara sank onto the couch, the USB drive heavy in her hand. The news van's lights flashed outside, a reminder of the scrutiny closing in. She thought of Caleb's words from yesterday. "You make us feel like a real family." And Nathan's gratitude, his promise to improve. Her job, reputation, and everything she'd built were at risk. But this evidence could change the game. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Nathan stood there, his tie askew, his face etched with concern. "Amara, are you okay?" he asked, stepping inside. "What did Tiana say?" She held up the drive, her resolve hardening. "She says this can bring Derek down. Embezzlement, fraud, proof he's not just a liar, but a criminal." She paused, meeting Nathan's eyes. "I think Olivia's involved too. This article and the photos are too coordinated to be just Derek." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Olivia plays games well, but this is low, even for her. What do you want to do?" Amara stood, the drive clenched in her fist. "We fight back. Together. But first, I need to know what we're dealing with." She plugged the drive into her laptop, the screen glowing with files that could unravel Derek's lies. As she and Nathan scrolled through the evidence, the weight of the media storm felt lighter, replaced by a spark of defiance. Caleb's trust, Nathan's support, and now Tiana's unexpected atonement gave her something to hold on to. But as the files loaded, a new text from Nia flashed on her phone. "Turn on Channel 5. It's getting worse." The storm was far from over, and Amara knew the next battle was beginning. The dim light of Amara's apartment flickered as she and Nathan sat at her small dining table, the laptop screen casting a harsh glow on their faces. The USB drive Tiana had left revealed a web of Derek's fraud, emails detailing offshore accounts, doctored invoices, and client funds siphoned for personal gain. But Amara's focus was fractured. Pulled to the television, where Channel 5's breaking news looped images of Nathan and Olivia at an upscale restaurant, their heads bent close, her hand brushing his arm. The headline screamed, "Caldwell power couple reuniting." The photos, clearly staged, twisted Amara's stomach. Nia's text, "It's getting worse," echoed in her mind, a warning of the growing storm. "Why didn't you tell me you were meeting Olivia?" Amara asked, her voice quiet, but edged with hurt. She set the laptop aside, her eyes searching Nathan's. He ran a hand through his hair, his tie now discarded on the couch. "I should have. It was a last-minute call about our children's charity. Olivia said she had proof someone was embezzling funds, but she wouldn't discuss it over the phone. It'd be quick, just business." His voice was heavy with regret. "She made sure those photographers were there. Amara, I should have seen it coming." Before Amara could respond, a sharp knock rattled the door. Her heart leapt, expecting a reporter, but her breath caught when she peered through the peephole. Caleb stood there, his small frame hunched, his backpack slung low. She flung the door open. "Caleb, what are you doing here? Where's Miss Wilson?" Caleb's eyes, red from crying, met hers. "I ran away," he admitted, his voice trembling but firm. "I heard Miss Wilson on the phone, talking about Dad and Mom at that restaurant. I thought you and Dad were breaking up." His lip quivered, and he clutched his backpack tighter. "I had to see you." Amara's heart broke. She knelt, pulling him into a hug, his small body trembling against her. "Oh, sweetie, you can't run away like that. Everyone's worried." She grabbed her phone, texting Miss Wilson. "Caleb's with me. He's safe." Turning back to Caleb, she led him to the couch. "Sit. Let's talk." Nathan rushed over, his face pale. "Caleb, you scared us to death. Why didn't you call?" He knelt beside his son, his hand on Caleb's shoulder, but the boy pulled away slightly. "You were with Mom," Caleb said, his voice small but accusatory. "Are you getting back together? Is Miss Amara going away?" His eyes flicked to Amara, pleading for reassurance. Nathan shook his head, his expression raw. "No, buddy. Your mom and I are not getting back together. That dinner was a mistake, a setup. I'm so sorry it made you worry." He glanced at Amara, guilt etching deeper lines into his face. Amara sat beside Caleb, her hand gentle on his back. "Your dad's telling the truth, Caleb. He was trying to protect the charity you both care about. But grown-ups mess up sometimes, and we're figuring it out." Her voice was steady, drawing on the calm she used in her classroom to soothe anxious students. Caleb's shoulders relaxed, but his eyes were still wary. "Mom's scared," he said suddenly, surprising them both. "I heard her talking to Aunt Rachel last week. She said she can't lose her family again. That's why she's mean about you, Miss Amara. She thinks you'll take us away." Amara's anger toward Olivia softened, replaced by a pang of understanding. Fear could twist people into their worst selves. She'd seen it in Derek, felt it in herself. "Your mom loves you, Caleb," she said softly. "She's just handling it wrong, but we'll work it out, okay?" Nathan nodded, his voice firm. "Nobody's going anywhere, buddy. We're a team. You, me, and Miss Amara. And your mom will always be part of your life." He pulled Caleb close, and the boy didn't pull away this time. The door buzzed again, and Amara tensed, expecting another intrusion. But it was Olivia, her designer coat pristine, her face a mask of panic as she burst in. "Caleb!" she cried, spotting him on the couch. "I've been looking everywhere. Miss Wilson called." She stopped, taking in the scene. Caleb nestled between Amara and Nathan, their hands linked in quiet solidarity. Her eyes narrowed, but her voice softened. "Are you okay, darling?" "I'm sorry, Mom," Caleb said, standing to hug her. "I was scared you and Dad were fighting again. I had to make sure Miss Amara knew the truth." He looked back at Amara, his small face earnest. "She makes us better. Even you, Mom. You're not as mad when she's around." Olivia stiffened, her lips parting in surprise. Amara stood, her heart pounding, but her resolve firm. "Olivia, we need to talk. I know you're behind the article and the photos. Tiana gave me evidence that Derek's involved too. But this started with you." Her voice was calm but unyielding. "You're scared. I get it. But hurting me hurts Caleb. I know you don't want that." Olivia's facade cracked, tears glistening in her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she admitted, her voice barely audible. "I saw you with them. How happy Caleb is. How Nathan's changing. And I panicked. I thought I'd lose him. Lose everything." She looked at Caleb, her hand brushing his hair. "I was wrong. I'm sorry." Amara nodded, her anger easing but not gone. "We can't undo the article, but we can stop this from worsening for Caleb's sake." She held up the USB drive. "This could take Derek down, but I need to know you're not fighting us anymore." Olivia hesitated, then nodded. "I'll make it right. I promise." Her voice was shaky but sincere, a glimmer of the woman who'd once loved Nathan and built a life with him. Caleb tugged at Amara's hand. "Can we all stay together? Like a bigger family?" His hopeful eyes darted between the adults, and Amara felt a warmth spread through her, despite the chaos. "We'll try, buddy," Nathan said, his hand squeezing Amara's. "Together." As Olivia took Caleb's other hand, the room felt smaller, the air charged with possibility. But Amara's phone buzzed again, and there was a message from Mrs. Wallace. "Board meeting tomorrow. Be prepared." The media storm wasn't over, and Amara knew the fight for her reputation and her new family was beginning. The morning sun filtered through the high windows of Lincoln Elementary's boardroom, casting long shadows across the polished table where Amara sat, her blazer pressed and her hands folded to steady her nerves. The air was tense, the packed room buzzing with parents, teachers, and a few curious students squeezed into the back. The school board meeting had been called to address the media storm that threatened Amara's teaching career, sparked by the vicious article accusing her of manipulating her way into Nathan Caldwell's life. Mrs. Wallace, the principal, gave her an encouraging nod from across the table, but the stern faces of the board members, led by President Larson, offered little comfort. Amara clutched a folder of student testimonials, her lifeline in this fight, as she braced for the verdict. President Larson cleared his throat, his voice formal. "Ms. Johnson, we're here to discuss the recent publicity surrounding your personal life and its impact on Lincoln Elementary. The board has received complaints from parents concerned about your judgment." He gestured to the tablet displaying the damning article, its headline glaring, "Jilted Bride Targets Real Estate Tycoon." Amara straightened, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "Mr. Larson, the article is based on lies. I met Nathan and his son by chance, after a personal betrayal. My focus has always been my students, their progress, their confidence. My record shows that." She slid her folder forward, containing test scores and parent letters, but Larson's expression remained unmoved. Before she could continue, the boardroom door swung open with a thud. Olivia strode in, her designer heels clicking, followed by a man Amara recognized as Mr. Phillips, editor of the local news site that published the article. A murmur rippled through the room. Olivia's family had funded the school's library wing, and her presence commanded attention. "I apologize for interrupting," Olivia said, her voice smooth but resolute. "I have something to say." Larson raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Mrs. Caldwell, proceed." Olivia faced the board, her posture unwavering. The stories about Ms. Johnson were false, planted by me and others to discredit her. I acted out of fear for my son's well-being, but I was wrong. She gestured to Mr. Phillips. He's signed a full retraction to be published within the hour. Ms. Johnson is not the manipulator she's been made out to be. My son, Caleb, isn't in her class, but she's tutored him in math, improving his grades dramatically. More importantly, she's shown him, and all of us, what integrity looks like. The room erupted in whispers, parents exchanging glances. Amara stared at Olivia, shock mingling with gratitude. Before Larson could respond, Nia stood behind, clutching a thick binder. "If I may," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "I have letters from every parent in Ms. Johnson's class, supporting her. Her students' test scores show the highest improvement in the district this year. She stays late for kids who need extra help, organizes math clubs, and makes learning fun." Nia's eyes flashed with pride as she placed the binder on the table. More voices joined in, a fellow teacher praising Amara's mentorship, a parent recounting how she helped their shy daughter speak up, even the school janitor, Mr. Ellis, noting her late-night cleanups after projects. The tide was turning, the room's energy shifting from judgment to support. Amara's throat tightened, overwhelmed by the unexpected wave of solidarity. Then the door opened again, and Derek strode in, his suit impeccable, his smile calculated. "I have something to say," he announced, his voice smooth. Amara's heart stopped, dread pooling in her chest. Before he could continue, Nathan stepped forward from the back, his expression cold. "No, you don't," he said quietly, his voice like steel. "Unless you want the SEC to hear about your irregular trades." He held up a folder, its contents a silent threat, courtesy of Tiana's USB drive. Derek paled, his confidence faltering. "You wouldn't dare," he muttered. "Try me," Nathan replied, his gaze unwavering. "Walk away, Derek. It's over." Derek hesitated, then turned, leaving without another word, the door clicking shut behind him. The board called a brief recess to deliberate, and Amara found herself surrounded by supporters, parents, students, colleagues. Mia, her student, tugged her sleeve, grinning. "You're the best, Miss Johnson." Nia hugged her tightly, whispering, "Told you we'd fight for you." Olivia approached, her expression softer than Amara had ever seen. "I meant what I said," she murmured. "Caleb asked me this morning if you could keep teaching him fractions. He says you make them fun, even for someone as hopeless as his father." Amara laughed, tears pricking her eyes. "Nathan's not hopeless. He needs the right teacher." She paused, meeting Olivia's gaze. "Thank you, Olivia. This means everything." "Don't thank me," Olivia replied. "I'm fixing what I broke." She smiled faintly, a glimpse of vulnerability. The board returned, and Larson cleared his throat. "Ms. Johnson, given the new information and overwhelming community support, we see no reason to take action against you. We want to discuss expanding your role to lead our new after-school tutoring program." Applause erupted, and Amara exhaled, relief flooding her. Nia squeezed her arm, Mrs. Wallace beamed, and outside, Nathan waited with Caleb, who ran to her, hugging her tightly. "You're staying, right?" he asked, eyes wide. "Right here, buddy," Amara said, ruffling his hair. As they left the boardroom, Nathan's hand brushed hers, a quiet promise. The media storm had cleared, but Amara knew the path ahead. Building a life with Nathan and Caleb would bring new challenges. For now, though, the community's support and Olivia's change of heart were victories worth celebrating. The late summer sun bathed Nathan's sprawling backyard in a golden glow, its rays filtering through the leaves of a newly planted maple tree. Amara stood amidst a sea of cardboard boxes, her sundress dusted with soil from the garden she and Caleb had started that morning. The move into Nathan's house, soon to be their home, felt both exhilarating and daunting. The school board's decision to keep her on and offer her the after-school tutoring program had lifted a weight. But stepping into this new life with Nathan and Caleb stirred a mix of hope and uncertainty. She paused, wiping sweat from her brow, as Caleb's laughter echoed from the garden, where he planted marigolds with a child's earnest focus. "Miss Amara, look! I didn't kill this one," Caleb called, holding up a vibrant yellow flower, its roots still clinging to clumps of dirt. His grin was infectious, and Amara chuckled, kneeling beside him. "You're a natural, Caleb," she said, brushing soil from his cheek. "These are going to be the best marigolds in the neighborhood." Her heart warmed at his pride, a reminder of why she'd said yes to this move, to be part of his life, and Nathan's, in a real way. Nathan emerged from the house, carrying a tray of lemonade, his shirt sleeves rolled up, a rare casual look that softened his usual polished demeanor. "Thought you two gardeners might need a break," he said, setting the tray on a picnic table. His eyes met Amara's, a quiet warmth that quickened her pulse, even after weeks of growing closer. "Thanks, Dad," Caleb said, grabbing a glass and gulping it down, leaving a lemonade mustache. "Can we plant roses next? Miss Amara says they're tough, like her." Amara laughed, nudging him. "Tough but beautiful. We'll see, buddy." She took a sip of lemonade, its tartness grounding her as she glanced at the house. A modern, airy structure with expansive windows and a wraparound porch, now filled with her books and teaching supplies, mingling with Nathan's sleek furniture. The doorbell chimed, and Nathan went to answer it. Moments later, he returned with Olivia, who carried a basket of fresh herbs, and Henry Caldwell, Nathan's father, whose gruff demeanor was softened by a rare smile. Once a source of tension, Olivia's presence now felt cautiously cooperative after her retraction at the school board meeting. Henry, a retired architect with a stern exterior, had been a distant figure until recently, but his visits had grown more frequent. "Thought we'd bring something for the garden," Olivia said, setting the basket down. "Caleb mentioned you're starting new traditions, so I brought basil and thyme suitable for cooking." Her tone was tentative, a far cry from the icy tone that was front and center weeks ago. Amara nodded, touched by the gesture. "Thanks, Olivia. We're planning weekly family dinners. You're welcome to join us." The offer was genuine, a step toward the bigger family Caleb had hoped for. Caleb beamed, tugging Olivia's hand. "Mom, you should try Miss Amara's spaghetti. It's almost as good as yours." Olivia's smile was slight but real, a sign of progress. Henry cleared his throat, stepping forward with a small wooden box. "I've got something for you, Amara," he said, his voice gruff but warm. He opened the box, revealing a delicate silver locket, its surface engraved with a tiny rose. This was Margaret's, my wife, Nathan's mother. She was a teacher like you, with a heart for kids. She'd have liked you. Amara's fingers trembled as she opened the locket to find a faded photo of a woman with kind eyes. "Henry, I don't know what to say." Her voice caught, overwhelmed by the gesture. "Say you'll keep it," Henry replied, his eyes suspiciously bright. "Margaret always said family's about choosing to care, every day. You've selected this family. Nathan, Caleb, and even Olivia here. Initially, I wasn't sure about you, but I thought Nathan was rushing things. But seeing Caleb happy and fighting for your place, you're one of us now." Nathan's hand found Amara's, squeezing gently. "Dad's right. You've made this house a home already." His voice was thick with emotion, and Amara felt a warmth spread through her, anchoring her to this moment. "Family dinner tonight?" Caleb asked, looking between the adults. "All of us?" Amara said, her smile widening. We'll start with spaghetti. Caleb's in charge of stirring the sauce. Olivia nodded, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. I'll bring dessert. Something chocolate, Caleb's favorite. She glanced at Nathan, a silent acknowledgement of their new dynamic. Henry lingered as they moved to the kitchen, watching Caleb show Olivia the marigolds. Margaret would have loved this, he said quietly to Amara. A messy, real family. You're good for them, Amara. Don't let anyone tell you different. Amara tucked the locket into her pocket, its weight a promise. I won't, she said, meeting his gaze. Thank you, Henry. That evening, the kitchen filled with the aroma of simmering sauce and laughter as Caleb taught Henry how to twirl spaghetti while Olivia sliced strawberries for dessert. Nathan caught Amara's eye across the room, his smile a quiet vow. The media storm was behind them, but this, building a home, choosing each other, was the real victory. Yet, as Amara set the table, her phone buzzed with a text from Nia. The children's center idea you mentioned? Nathan's been talking to his foundation. Check your email. A new dream was stirring, one that could change everything. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fallen leaves through the open windows of Nathan's home office, a room Amara rarely entered, respecting his need for a private workspace. Today, though, Nathan led her inside, his hand warm in hers, a spark of excitement in his eyes. The desk, usually cluttered with real estate contracts, was clear except for architectural drawings, their edges curling slightly. Amara's heart quickened as she recognized the sketches, a community center with bright classrooms, a playground, and a garden. It was the dream she'd shared with Nathan during late-night talks, where underprivileged kids could find tutoring, mentorship, and safety, born from her years of teaching and the pain of nearly losing her career. What's this? Amara asked, her voice soft with wonder as she traced the outline of a classroom on the blueprint. Nathan's smile was boyish, a rare break from his usual composed demeanor. Plans for the children's center you've been dreaming about. The Caldwell Foundation is funding it, with full backing, with no strings attached. You'd have complete control over the programs, the staff, everything. He stepped closer, his hand resting on her shoulder. The board approved it unanimously. Having a teacher who turned around our public image and helped catch a fraudster gives you some pull. Amara's breath caught, her fingers trembling over the drawings. After resigning from Lincoln Elementary, despite being cleared by the board, she knew it was time for a change. The media storm had left scars, but it had also clarified her purpose, to build something lasting for kids like her students, like Caleb. Nathan, I don't know what to say. Her eyes welled with tears, not of sorrow but of possibility. You don't have to say anything, he replied, his voice warm. You've given up so much to be part of our lives. Your job, your old routine. This is yours, Amara, a chance to make your mark. She shook her head, smiling through the tears. I haven't given up anything. I've gained a family, a home, you and Caleb. And now this? She gestured to the plans, her heart swelling. It's more than I ever imagined. The office door creaked open, and Caleb bounded in, his sneakers squeaking on the hardwood. Miss Amara, Dad said you're getting a center for kids. Can I help? His eyes sparkled, his backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder. Amara laughed, kneeling to his level. You bet, buddy. We'll need a garden expert for the playground. Think you're up for it? Totally, Caleb said, then paused, his face growing serious. There's something else, too. He glanced at Nathan, who nodded encouragingly. Before Amara could ask, Olivia stepped into the room, her expression softer than Amara had ever seen. I hope I'm not interrupting, she said, holding a folder. But Caleb and I have been talking, and there's something we want to propose. She handed the folder to Amara, who opened it to find adoption papers. Caleb's name printed in bold. Amara's breath hitched, her eyes scanning the documents. "Adoption?" she whispered, looking from Olivia to Caleb to Nathan. Olivia nodded, her voice steady but emotional. "Caleb deserves you as more than just Dad's girlfriend or my friend. He deserves you as his other mother, legally and officially, but only if you want it." Her eyes held Amara's, a mix of vulnerability and resolve. Caleb tugged at Amara's hand, his voice earnest. "Please say yes, Miss Amara. Then you'll be my mom too, forever." His eyes were wide, hopeful, and Amara's heart melted at the trust in them. "Are you sure?" she asked Olivia, her voice trembling. "Sure?" Olivia replied. "I'm sure Caleb deserves all the love he can get, and I'm sure you love him as much as I do. Different, but just as much." She paused, a faint smile breaking through. "Besides, I'm joining the center too. I'm teaching art classes, but retirement from law leaves some free time." Amara's laugh was half a sob, overwhelmed by the moment's weight. "Art classes? You're full of surprises, Olivia. Mom's good at drawing," Caleb chimed in, bouncing on his toes. "She made me a dragon picture once. It was awesome." Nathan wrapped an arm around Amara, his voice low. "You've changed us, Amara. Caleb's happier. I'm trying harder. And even Olivia's finding a new path. This center, this family, it's because of you." Amara clutched the adoption papers, her fingers brushing the locket Henry had given her, now nestled against her heart. "I want this," she said, looking at Caleb. "I want to be your mom, officially. And the center. It's everything I've dreamed of." She turned to Olivia. "Thank you for all of it." Olivia's smile was genuine, a bridge built where walls once stood. "For Caleb," she said, then added, "and maybe for us, too." Caleb launched into Amara's arms, and Nathan joined the hug, his warmth grounding her. Olivia stepped closer, not joining but standing near, part of this new, messy family. As they stood there, the blueprints spread before them. Amara felt the weight of her past. Derek's betrayal, the media storm, transform into purpose. The Children's Center would be her legacy, and Caleb's adoption her promise to this family. Her phone buzzed, and a message from Nia came out. "Heard about the center? You're unstoppable. Dinner soon?" Amara smiled, typing a quick reply. "Soon. Bring wine." The future was bright and complicated, and as Caleb chattered about dragon murals for the center, Amara knew she was ready for whatever came next. Nathan and Amara's backyard glowed under the early summer sun, transforming into a haven of love and simplicity. The garden Amara and Caleb had planted bloomed with marigolds and roses, their vibrant colors framing a flower-covered arch where Amara stood, her white sundress flowing softly in the breeze. A year ago, she'd stood in a different dress, her heart shattered by Derek's betrayal. Today, her fingers brushed the silver locket from Henry, holding photos of Nathan and Caleb, and her smile radiated a hard-earned joy. This was no grand hotel ballroom, just their home, filled with the people who mattered most. "You look beautiful," Nia said, adjusting the sundress's hem, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Happier than last time, that's for sure." Amara laughed, touching the locket. "Everything's different now." She glanced at the semicircle of white chairs where friends, family, and a few of her former students sat, their faces warm with anticipation. No society guests, no pretense, just love. Caleb poked his head around the arch, dapper in a small suit, his grin wide. "Miss Amara, Mom Amara, can I come in?" His slip of the tongue sent a thrill through her, the adoption papers finalized just days ago. "Of course, sweetie," she said, kneeling to hug him. Olivia followed, carrying a small gift box, her expression softer than Amara had ever seen. Olivia said, "We wanted to give you something before the ceremony," handing her the box. Inside was a charm bracelet, each charm a memory, a tiny park bench for their first meeting, a book for Caleb's tutoring, a house for their home, a flower for their garden. "The last charm's empty," Olivia explained. "Caleb says we'll add more as we make new memories." Tears welled in Amara's eyes. "It's perfect," she whispered, slipping the bracelet on. "Thank you, both of you." "Save some tears for the vows," Olivia teased, a rare lightness in her voice. "Come on, Caleb. Let's ensure your dad's tie isn't a disaster." Caleb giggled, following her, and Amara's heart swelled at their easy bond. Nia squeezed her arm. "A year ago, I'd have called this impossible. Your ex exposed, a children's center in the works, marrying a man who adores you, with his ex-wife helping plan the wedding. You're living a miracle." Amara grinned. "Sometimes the craziest stories are the truest." A knock sounded, and Henry appeared, his gruff face softened by a smile. "Ready?" he asked, offering his arm. "They're waiting." Amara took it, her voice steady. "Will you walk me down the aisle?" Her father was gone, and Henry had become a quiet, constant presence, like the father she'd lost. "Thought you'd never ask," he said, his voice thick. They stepped into the backyard, where Nathan stood under the arch, his eyes locking onto hers, filled with love. Caleb stood between them, holding their hands, while Olivia sat in the front row, her smile genuine. The ceremony was everything her first attempt hadn't been: warm, real, theirs. Nathan's vows came first, his voice steady. "A year ago, I was lost, chasing success but failing as a father. Then Caleb ran away, and you, Amara, helped me find him, and myself. You showed me what love means, choosing it every day." Amara squeezed his hands, her voice clear. "I thought my heart was broken beyond repair, and that love was a perfect moment. But you and Caleb taught me it's about choice. Through the mess, the pain, the joy, it's about building a family, even when it's complicated." The officiant smiled. "Do you have the rings?" "I do," Caleb said, stepping forward, then pausing. "Something else first." He pulled out a small ring on a chain. "This is for you, Mama Amara. The judge said the adoption is official, but I wanted you to have this now." His voice trembled with pride. Amara knelt, letting him clasp the necklace beside her locket, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Caleb," she whispered, hugging him tightly. The ceremony blurred into joy. Rings exchanged, vows sealed, and Caleb's arms wrapping around them as they were pronounced husband and wife. The reception unfolded in the backyard, vibrant but straightforward. Caleb's world-famous spaghetti was a hit, and children from Amara's new center performed a song they'd written, their voices ringing with pride. Now running her consulting firm, Tiana raised a glass, her smile free of guilt. "To new beginnings," she toasted, her presence a testament to her redemption. Henry stood next, his voice gruff. "To the family we choose." Olivia followed, surprising everyone. "To love that grows in unexpected gardens." Caleb, giggling, added, "To happy beginnings." As the sun set, Amara and Nathan swayed under the stars, Caleb teaching Henry a goofy dance, while Olivia snapped photos, laughing. Nia and Tiana chatted by the garden, their friendship a new thread in this tapestry. Any regrets? Nathan asked softly, his hand warm in hers. Amara glanced at her family, her husband, son, unexpected friend Olivia, and steadfast Nia. Not one, she said, feeling the weight of her rings, the locket, the bracelet. Every step led us here, and here's where I belong. Caleb rushed over, breathless. Can I tell her now? At Nathan's nod, he burst out. We're expanding the Children's Center. Dad's foundation is funding a new wing, and Mom, my other mom, is teaching art classes. Amara's eyes widened, turning to Olivia, who nodded. Really, I needed a new beginning too. As guests gathered to celebrate the news, Amara looked at her chosen family, knowing love wasn't about perfection, but intention, choice, and resilience. This was their story. Messy, real, perfect.